I step out of my black Tesla, and the Colorado autumn air hits my face like a slap from the past. 5 years. 5 years since I walked out of this family's life with nothing but my programming skills, and a promise that still echoes in my ears. Watch me, the Prairie Hills Country Lodge towers ahead, its marble entrance gleaming under the setting sun. 120 guests inside, celebrating Grandma Miriam's 78th birthday. They have no idea what's coming. My phone buzzes against my palm. Nolan Pierce, my COO, never texts unless it's urgent. The AG's office confirmed Miriam's audit backs up their case. The warrant is active. This could happen tonight. My fingers tighten around the device. Attorney General's office. Warrant. Tonight. The words should terrify me, but instead I feel something cold and sharp settling in my chest. Justice, maybe, or vindication. I adjust my $3,000 Armani blazer, the charcoal fabric fitting like armor. The same family who dismissed me as a failure 5 years ago has no clue that their disappointment now runs a $180 million cybersecurity empire. Watch me, I whisper to the marble steps, but even as I say it, my hands shake. The memory crashes over me like it always does. That dinner 5 years ago. The Grant family dining room with its pretentious mahogany table and crystal chandelier that cost more than most people's cars. I was 26, desperate. Still believing I could earn their approval if I just tried harder. Playing with code isn't a career, Alexis. Dad's voice carried that particular blend of disappointment and dismissal I knew so well. Douglas Grant, real estate mogul, couldn't fathom that technology might actually matter. When are you going to get serious about your future? Mom sat down her wine glass with a delicate clink. Why can't you be more like your sister? Evelyn Grant's specialty. The comparison that cut deepest because it was designed to. Marilyn, golden child extraordinaire, leaned back in her chair with that smile I'd learned to fear. Actually, I might have something for Alexis. My non-profit could use an assistant. Part-time, of course. Assistant, part-time. After I'd spent 3 years building security software that companies were actually buying. See, Mom's face lit up like Marilyn had just offered to cure cancer. Marilyn always looks out for family. The weight of 26 years crashed down on me in that moment. 26 years of being the family scapegoat. The one who couldn't measure up. The disappointment. I'd worked double shifts at 16 to pay for college, while Marilyn's education was fully funded. I'd listened to years of, why can't you get straight A's like your sister? I'd built something from nothing, and they called it playing, but it was what Mom said next that broke something inside me permanently. I just want to be proud of you, honey. Is that too much to ask? I am proud of you. 5 words I'd chased my entire life. 5 words she'd never said. Not once, not even when I graduated summa cum laude or when my first client paid me $50,000 for a security audit. The need for her approval had been my fatal flaw since childhood. I was the daughter who stayed up until 3 a.m. perfecting projects for parents who noticed nothing but flaws. I was the teenager who worked herself into exhaustion trying to prove she deserved the same investment they gave Marilyn without question. I was the young woman who kept believing that if I just achieved enough, if I just made enough money, if I just became successful enough, they would finally see me. But sitting at that table, watching Marilyn's smug satisfaction and my parents' relieved expressions because their golden child had solved the Alexis problem, I understood the truth that would change everything. The game was rigged. It had always been rigged. They needed me to fail so Marilyn could succeed. They needed me to stay small so they could feel big. They needed me to remain desperate for approval so they could dole it out as a reward for compliance. I stood up from that mahogany table. Dad's face went slack with shock. Marilyn's smile faltered. Watch me, I said 2 words that meant everything and nothing. Watch me what? Build something real. Prove my worth. Succeed without you. All of it. None of it. I didn't know yet. I walked out their front door into the October night. I blocked their phone numbers. I returned Christmas cards unopened. I built Vanguard Shield from a $1,000 laptop in my studio apartment, coding 18-hour days fueled by rage and determination. For 5 years I chose myself over their approval. It was the most terrifying and liberating decision I'd ever made. Now I'm standing outside Prairie Hills Country Lodge, and that terrified 26-year-old still lives somewhere in my chest, whispering that I don't belong here. That I'll never be good enough. That walking through those doors will prove they were right about me all along. But she's wrong. I'm not the broken girl who walked out 5 years ago. I'm A.L. Grant, CEO of Vanguard Shield. Forbes featured me on their 35 under 35 list, though my family never knew because they never looked. I protect critical infrastructure for 3 states. I employ 47 people who depend on my decisions. I'm not playing with code anymore. I'm winning. The lodge's entrance doors swing open as a couple in their 70s emerges, the woman clutching pearls that probably cost more than my Tesla. They don't recognize me, but why would they? The last time Willow Creek Society saw me, I was the Grant family failure. Tonight, that changes. My phone buzzes again. Another text from Nolan. You sure about this? I can handle everything from here. I almost smile. Nolan Pierce. The first person who saw my worth before I proved it. My COO, my friend. The brother I chose instead of the family I inherited. He's offered to spare me this confrontation, to let me avoid the emotional battlefield waiting inside. But running would prove they were right. And I'm done running. I type back, I've got this. Because I do. Whatever happens tonight, whatever family drama unfolds, whatever pain gets dredged up, I know who I am now. I know what I've built. I know my worth isn't determined by people who couldn't recognize talent if it debugged their entire network. The marble steps feel solid under my heels. The doorman nods respectfully. Through the glass, I see relatives I haven't spoken to in 5 years, all dressed in their finest, all completely unaware that their world is about to shift. Grandma Miriam is in there somewhere, the only family member who ever saw me clearly. She's the reason I came tonight, the reason I'm walking back into this emotional minefield. She's also the reason I know I'll survive it. I reach for the handle, and for just a moment, I let myself feel everything. The fear, the anger, the hope, the grief. 5 years of silence ending in one evening. The family that broke me about to discover who I became in the breaking. The warning arrives 3 days before Grandma Miriam's party, buried in my morning inbox like a digital time bomb. Marilyn is planning something big for Grandma's party. She says she's going to expose the truth about you. Cousin Tessa's text stops my coffee cup halfway to my lips. I'm sitting in my Denver penthouse, 47 floors above the city that rebuilt my life, and suddenly I'm 26 again. Heart racing, palms sweating, that familiar knot of dread forming in my stomach. Expose what truth? I haven't spoken to any of them in 5 years. I've been ghost protocol since I walked out of their dining room. What could Marilyn possibly know about my life now? I forward the message to Nolan Pierce without a word. My CO understands family warfare better than most people understand their own careers. He built his fortune escaping an equally toxic clan in Boston. His response comes back in minutes. On it, calling contacts now. This is why I pay Nolan the big money. Well, one of the reasons. The other is that he's the only person I trust completely, which says everything about my relationship with blood relatives and nothing about his qualifications. 2 hours later, he's standing in my office with the expression I've learned to fear. It's the same look he wore when he discovered our biggest competitor was stealing our code. Professional concern wrapped in barely contained fury. She hired investigators, he says without preamble. Ridgewell and Hartman out of Denver. High-end firm, not cheap. My chest tightens. What kind of investigators? The thorough kind. Colton Hartman specifically, former FBI, 20 years experience, specializes in financial forensics and background verification. Nolan drops a manila folder on my desk. The good news is he's ethical, won't fabricate evidence or break laws to get dirt. And the bad news, he's very, very good at finding what's actually there. I stare at the folder without opening it. Inside are probably photos, financial records, employee interviews, the architecture of my carefully constructed new life laid bare for Marilyn's entertainment. How much does she know? Nolan's silence stretches too long. When he finally speaks, his voice carries the weight of bad news delivered gently. She knows about A.L. Grant. The world tilts sideways. A.L. Grant. My professional identity. My gender-neutral shield in the tech world. My protection against anyone connecting Vanguard Shield's success to the Grant family failure. 5 years of careful separation, gone. She knows you're on the Forbes list. She knows about the $180 million valuation. She knows your CEO. His voice gets quieter. Alexis. She knows everything. I sink into my chair, the leather suddenly feeling like quicksand. This is worse than I imagined. Marilyn didn't just discover I exist, she discovered I succeeded, spectacularly. While she was playing non-profit director in Willow Creek, I was building an empire an hour away. There's more. Of course there is. Nolan pulls out his phone, scrolls to something that makes his jaw clench. Hartman's investigation went both ways. When he traced payment sources for his fees, he found something interesting in Marilyn's finances. My blood turns to ice water. What kind of something? $4,000 embezzled from her non-profit over 3 years, plus $25,000 stolen from your family trust. He looks up from the phone. Hartman's legally obligated to report felony financial crimes to the Colorado Attorney General's office. The irony hits me like a sledgehammer to the chest. Marilyn hired an investigator to destroy me and accidentally destroyed herself instead. The golden child who spent years criticizing everyone else's ethics is a criminal. The sister who got everything handed to her has been stealing from charitable donations and family money. When does he file the report? He's filing it. This morning. Nolan's expression shifts from concern to something harder. The Attorney General's office confirmed they're opening an investigation. Could result in federal embezzlement charges. I should feel vindicated. I should feel justice served on a silver platter. Instead, I feel sick because I know what this means. The Grant family's perfect world is about to implode. Douglas and Evelyn Grant, pillars of Willow Creek society, are going to discover their golden child is facing 3 to 5 years in federal prison. Their charitable foundation queen is a thief. Their social status is about to crater. And they'll blame me. Not because I reported anything. I didn't know about the embezzlement until 30 seconds ago. But because I'm the family scapegoat, the permanent problem, the daughter whose existence seems to invite catastrophe. This is enough for the AG to open a criminal investigation. They're going to move fast, including at Grandma's party. I picture the scene. Prairie Hills Country Lodge 120 guests dressed in their celebrating Miriam's 78th birthday. Marilyn at the microphone, preparing to humiliate me publicly when federal agents walk through those marble doors. The poetic justice would be beautiful if it weren't so devastating. My phone rings. Unknown Colorado number. But I recognize the area code. Willow Creek. Should I answer it? Nolan shakes his head. Nothing good comes from unknown numbers during family crisis. The call goes to voicemail. Then another unknown number calls. Then another. Word spreading. I whisper. Probably Marilyn calling relatives to warn them about your deception. She doesn't know about the Attorney General yet. Nolan's voice carries grim amusement. She's still planning her ambush, not knowing she's already been ambushed. My laptop chimes with an email notification. Mom's address. The first direct contact in 5 years. Subject. Family obligations. Alexis, your father and I expect you at your grandmother's party. Whatever games you're playing with your sister need to stop immediately. Family comes first, not your hurt feelings. It's time to grow up and take responsibility for your choices. We'll discuss your behavior privately after the celebration, Mother. I read it twice, then closed the laptop. They still don't get it. I say to nobody in particular. They think this is about feelings and sibling rivalry. They think I'm the problem. Are you going? The question hangs in the air like smoke from a house fire. Am I going to walk into that emotional battlefield? Am I going to face down parents who still see me as the family disappointment? Am I going to watch Marilyn get arrested at our grandmother's birthday party? Yes. Nolan raises an eyebrow. You sure? I can handle everything from here. You don't need to subject yourself to that circus. But he's wrong. I do need to be there. Not for revenge, not for vindication, not even for justice. I need to be there, because running away would prove everything they ever said about me. That I'm weak, that I can't handle family responsibility, that I'm the problem. 5 years ago I walked out of their house as a failure. If I'm going back, it's as a success. Not for their approval anymore, but for my own peace. I've spent 5 years building something real, while they played their toxic games. I tell Nolan, I'm not hiding from the truth anymore. Even if the truth is going to destroy everything they thought they knew about their perfect family. Even if justice comes with handcuffs and federal charges. Even if going home means watching everything burn, my phone doesn't stop buzzing. Since we discovered the ambush yesterday, notifications pile up like digital debris from a family I thought I'd left behind. Social media notifications from relatives I barely remember. WhatsApp messages from the Grant family group chat that somehow, impossibly, still includes my number. I scroll through them while my coffee goes cold in Vanguard Shield's executive conference room. Uncle Robert's wife posting cryptic Facebook updates. Some people think success gives them the right to abandon family. Cousin Sarah, sharing articles about family values with pointed comments about loyalty. The digital breadcrumbs of Marilyn's campaign, preparing everyone for whatever bomb she plans to drop at Grandma's party. Tessa's warning text from yesterday feels prophetic now. Marilyn is calling everyone. She says she's going to expose the truth about you at the party. The truth, as if my sister has any concept of what that means. Nolan walks into the conference room carrying a stack of government contracts worth $53 million. Protection systems for voting infrastructure in 3 states. Real work. Work that matters. Work that keeps democracy functioning while my family gossips in Willow Creek. The family campaign is escalating. I tell him, sliding my phone across the mahogany table. He reads the messages, his jaw tightening. Want me to have our legal team send a cease and desist? For what? Telling relatives that their successful sister might be hiding something. I lean back in my chair. She's too smart for anything actionable. Just planting seeds. But the doubt creeps in anyway. That old familiar voice that whispers maybe they're right about me. Maybe building a $180 million company doesn't make me worthy of respect. Maybe I really am just playing with code. My laptop chimes with an email from Mom. The subject line reads, Family Responsibility. I stare at the notification for 30 seconds before deleting it unread. Some conversations aren't worth having. The Attorney General's office confirmed they received Colton's report, Nolan says, settling into the chair across from me. But no timeline on when they'll act. When, not if. The distinction matters. Marilyn's financial crimes will catch up with her eventually, but Grandma's party is in 2 days. 2 days for whatever chaos my sister has planned. My phone rings. Unknown Colorado number. Hello, Alexis. Dad's voice. Gravely with false authority. We need to talk. I haven't heard Douglas Grant's voice in 5 years. It sounds smaller than I remember. Less commanding. Age, maybe. Or the realization that his intimidation tactics don't work on someone who built her own empire. About what? Your grandmother's party. Your mother thinks. He pauses. And I hear Mom's voice in the background, sharp and insistent. We think it would be best if you didn't attend. The familiar punch of rejection hits my chest. Even now, even after everything I've accomplished, they want me gone. The inconvenient daughter who might disrupt their perfect family narrative. Because Marilyn says you've been spreading vicious rumors that her non-profit has financial problems. We don't need that kind of drama at Miriam's celebration. Spreading lies. The projection is stunning. I've spoken to exactly 0 family members about Marilyn's criminal behavior, 0 social media posts, 0 gossip campaigns. I've been silent for 5 years while they constructed whatever fantasy version of events helps them sleep at night. I haven't said anything to anyone about Marilyn. I see. Believe what you want, Dad. I'll see you at the party. I hang up before he can respond. Nolan watches me carefully. You okay? They just uninvited me from my own grandmother's birthday party because Marilyn convinced them I'm some kind of criminal mastermind. I laugh, but it comes out hollow. The system works sometimes, Nolan says quietly, but it doesn't feel like victory. It feels like standing in quicksand while my family throws stones. My phone rings again. This time the number makes my heart skip. Grandma, hello. Sweetheart, Miriam's voice, crystal clear despite her 78 years. I heard Douglas called you. He uninvited me to your party. Douglas doesn't get to uninvite people to my party. Neither does Marilyn, though she's been suggesting I should reconsider who attends. Grandma's tone sharpens, as if I need a criminal's advice about guest lists. Criminal. The word hits different coming from Miriam, not speculation or accusation. Fact, you know about the investigation. Sweetheart, I commissioned it. The world stops. What? 2 months ago I ordered my own audit of Marilyn's non-profit. Something about her finances never added up. New Mercedes on a non-profit salary. European vacations funded by donor appreciation events. I'm old, not stupid. My grandmother, sharp-minded, suspicious, protective of family resources while everyone else got distracted by Marilyn's golden child performance. The auditor found everything. Miriam continues. The embezzlement, the phantom expenses, the money stolen from our family trust. When that private investigator approached me last week with similar findings, I shared my audit with him. Made his job much easier. The pieces click into place. Colton Hartman had 2 sources of evidence, the paper trail he uncovered and Grandma's independent investigation. No wonder the Attorney General's office moved so quickly. Why didn't you tell anyone? Because I wanted to see how far she'd go, how much she'd steal, how many people she'd hurt before someone stopped her. Miriam's voice carries 5 decades of family wisdom. Turns out, she was planning to hurt you publicly while stealing from the family privately. That's when I knew she'd gone too far. I sink back in my conference chair, overwhelmed. I'm just worried. If she gets arrested at the party, the shock. For you, that the shock might kill me, Grandma laughs. Alexis, I'm 78, not fragile. I've survived the Great Depression, 3 recessions, and your grandfather's midlife crisis. I think I can handle learning that my granddaughter protected herself from a predator. Predator. Another word that hits like truth. Besides, Miriam adds, Marilyn doesn't know I have copies of everything. Bank records, forged signatures, diverted donations. She thinks she's holding the only cards. But I've been playing this game longer than she's been alive. For the first time in days I smile. Really smile. I'll see you at the party, Grandma. I'm counting on it. Someone needs to witness justice being served. After we hang up, I sit in the conference room silence, processing everything. Marilyn played her final card last night, threatening Grandma to keep me quiet. But she played it against someone who was already 3 moves ahead. The golden child thinks she's protecting herself by threatening the family matriarch. She doesn't know the matriarch is the one who started the investigation in the first place. Nolan's still reading government contracts, but I can tell he's listening. Feel better. Marilyn doesn't know she's already lost. She will soon. I check the time. 24 hours until the party. 24 hours until a room full of relatives discovers their golden child is a criminal, while their scapegoat is a CEO. 24 hours until 5 years of silence ends in one spectacular evening. My phone buzzes with another family group chat notification. This time it's Marilyn herself. Looking forward to seeing everyone tomorrow night. It's time some truths came to light. I almost laugh. She has no idea how right she is. The sun sets over Denver's skyline, casting long shadows across Vanguard Shield's headquarters. 47 employees are heading home to families who respect their contributions. Government contracts worth $53 million sit on my conference table, protecting democracy itself. This is what I built while my family whispered about my failures. This is what I accomplished while they elevated a criminal. Tomorrow night, they'll finally understand the difference. But tonight, I'm going to prepare for the most important party of my life. Not because I need their approval anymore, but because some battles win themselves when you stop fighting them. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply show up and watch the truth unfold. The Prairie Hills Country Lodge ballroom doors swing open with the kind of dramatic timing that only happens in movies or family disasters. I step inside, and 120 conversations halt mid-sentence. Forks freeze halfway to mouths. Wine glasses pause at lips. The silence spreads through the room like spilled ink. They expected broken. They're getting bulletproof. My Armani blazer fits like armor tonight. Charcoal gray instead of the black they probably imagined I'd wear to a funeral of my own reputation. 5 years of therapy and $180 million in net worth have given me something they can't comprehend: unshakable confidence. Across the room, Marilyn's face goes chalk white. She's standing near the head table, microphone in her manicured hand, clearly caught mid-preparation for whatever humiliation she'd planned. Her mouth opens slightly, then snaps shut. This isn't the broken woman she expected to destroy tonight, but it's Grandma Miriam's smile that steadies my breathing. She sits at the head table like the queen she's always been, her sharp gray eyes twinkling with secrets. She, like me, is one of only 2 people in this room who knows what's really about to unfold. I don't rush toward any particular group. I don't announce my presence or offer explanations. I simply walk through the space like I belong here, because I do. Success has taught me that confidence isn't about proving yourself. It's about knowing your own worth and letting others catch up. Cousin Tessa approaches first, her face flushed with what looks like embarrassment. Alexis, wow, you look. She gestures vaguely at my outfit, my posture, the aura of quiet authority I've apparently developed. Different, I finish for her. 5 years will do that. Uncle Robert stares from his corner table, probably trying to reconcile the dismissed family failure with the woman standing before him in $3,000 in clothing. I catch his eye and nod politely. He nearly chokes on his wine. Marilyn finally finds her voice. She taps the microphone twice, the feedback screech cutting through the murmured conversations that have started up again. Ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, her voice carries that practiced public speaking tone she's perfected through her nonprofit work. Tonight, we're not just celebrating Grandma Miriam's 78th birthday, we're also welcoming someone home. The emphasis on someone drips with false warmth. I lean against the back wall, arms crossed, letting her perform. Today we welcome Alexis home as a CEO. The skepticism in her voice could cut glass. Several relatives shift uncomfortably. Dad's face hardens from his table near the front. Mom's hand flutters to her pearl necklace, like she's checking that it's still there. Marilyn's pivot is smoother than I expected. She abandons whatever evidence-based attack she'd planned and goes straight for emotional manipulation. But what is success worth when it's built on ingratitude? On abandoning the family who raised you, who loved you, who only wanted the best for you. Murmurs of agreement ripple through the room. Heads nod. The Grant family has always been good at collective judgment. Success without family loyalty is just sophisticated selfishness. Her voice grows stronger as she senses the room's support. Some people think money makes them better than the people who sacrificed for them. I don't flinch. 5 years ago, these words would have crushed me. The 26-year-old Alexis would have crumbled under this public shaming, would have scrambled to defend herself with explanations no one wanted to hear. But that woman died the night I walked out of their dining room. Cousin Tessa leans over to me, her voice barely a whisper. Is it true what she's saying? That you never called? Never sent a card? You'll understand everything soon, I reply quietly. My composed response seems to unsettle her more than any defensive argument would have. She expected guilt, shame, desperate justification. Instead, she got the calm authority of someone who built a company protecting critical infrastructure for 3 states while they gossiped in Willow Creek. Douglas joins Marilyn's performance from his table. Some people think success excuses abandonment. His voice carries across the room easily. But character isn't measured by bank accounts. The irony would be funny if it weren't so tragic. Marilyn's speech grows more vicious as she senses something shifting in the room's energy. Her prepared talking points are failing to land the way she expected. When family loyalty becomes inconvenient, when gratitude becomes a burden, what kind of person chooses pride over love? But I notice Uncle Robert frowning now, Aunt Susan whispering to her husband. The tide isn't turning the way Marilyn planned. The internal mantra from therapy runs through my head. Their opinion of me is none of my business. I remember the last therapy session before I decided to come tonight, Dr. Martinez, asking the question that changed everything: what would the 26-year-old Alexis do right now? The answer had been immediate and devastating. She would have stood up, red-faced and desperate, trying to defend herself with words they'd never believe. She would have listed her accomplishments like a resume, begged them to see her worth, proven she deserved their respect through achievements they couldn't understand. The present day me understands that proof comes through actions, not arguments. Truth doesn't need a defense attorney, so I stand quietly near the back wall, letting Marilyn hang herself with her own rope. Every vicious word reveals more about her character than mine. Every desperate attack shows their own insecurities and prejudices. The room's energy shifts subtly, as guests notice the contrast. Marilyn's increasingly frantic accusations versus my calm, collected presence. I'm not the broken failure they expected. I'm not defending myself or begging for acceptance. I'm just here, confident, unshakable. Uncle Robert mutters to his wife, just loud enough for nearby tables to hear. She doesn't look like a failure to me. Marilyn's speech reaches its crescendo. Success built on abandoning family isn't success at all. It's just sophisticated betrayal. The ballroom doors open 5:02 p.m. 2 detectives and an investigator from the Colorado Attorney General's office enter with the kind of purposeful stride that cuts through party atmosphere like a knife through silk. Their badges catch the chandelier light as they scan the room. Conversations die again. But this time the silence feels different, dangerous. The lead detective's voice carries just enough to reach the microphone. Miss Marilyn Grant. Every head in the room turns toward the head table. Marilyn's face goes from flushed with righteous indignation to corpse pale in the span of a heartbeat. You are under arrest for embezzlement and fraud. The words hit the ballroom like a physical blow. Someone drops a wine glass. The crystal shatter echoes off marble floors. I watch from my position against the wall as handcuffs click around the golden child's wrists. The sound cuts through the collective gasp of 120 stunned guests. Marilyn's public humiliation walk begins. Past the head table where Grandma Miriam sits with perfect composure. Past relatives whose mouths hang open in shock. Past parents whose world is crumbling in real time. And past me. Our eyes meet for one brief moment as the detectives escort her toward the exit. I see fear, rage, and something else I don't recognize. Defeat, maybe. I don't gloat. I don't smile. I simply witness justice finally being served. The ballroom erupts into chaos as the doors close behind them. Douglas and Evelyn rush toward me, voices rising in desperate confusion. What did you do? How could you do this to your own sister? Grandma Miriam's clear voice cuts through their panic. Alexis did nothing. The Attorney General's office did their job. The truth is finally being seen. The family's conspiracy of willful blindness finally cracks. Relatives whisper frantically. Wait, if Alexis didn't report this, then who did? Nolan Pierce enters quietly through the side door, his presence confirming what some guests are beginning to suspect. I'm not the family failure anymore. I'm the only one left standing. The ballroom buzzes with whispered conversations that slice through the air like static electricity. I stand near the dessert table, watching family members cluster in tight groups, their voices low but their gestures animated. The birthday cake sits untouched, its 78 candles now cold wax puddles on buttercream. 20 minutes have passed since Marilyn left in handcuffs. 20 minutes since my family's world cracked wide open. I heard it was embezzlement. Aunt Patricia whispers to Uncle Robert, her voice carrying despite her attempt at discretion. The $400. From her own charity, Robert responds, shaking his head. Jesus Christ, Pat, we donated to that thing. Cousin Tessa approaches me, her face pale. Alexis, I'm so sorry. I had no idea about any of this when I warned you about Marilyn's plan. I touch her arm gently. Neither did I. Not the details anyway. But that's not entirely true. I knew something was wrong. The pieces were already falling into place before tonight, thanks to Colton Hartman's thorough investigation. The private investigator Marilyn hired to destroy me had uncovered far more than my business success. He'd found her crimes. Detective Williams approaches our group, his notepad out. Miss Grant, I need to ask you a few questions about your sister's financial activities. I've had no contact with Marilyn for 5 years. I say clearly, I knew nothing about her business operations. But you did hire the investigator who discovered the embezzlement. No, I didn't. The truth feels strange in my mouth. My sister hired Ridgewell and Hartman to investigate me. Hartman discovered her crimes while conducting that investigation. Williams nods, making a note. Professional obligations required him to report the crimes to our office. Across the room, Dad stands with his back against the wall, his face gray as concrete. Mom sits in a chair someone brought her, clutching a tissue that's disintegrated from overuse. They look like survivors of a natural disaster, which I suppose they are. A natural disaster named consequences. Alexis, Grandma Miriam's voice draws my attention. She's sitting at the head table, still wearing her birthday tiara, looking more alert and sharp than anyone else in the room. Would you help me with something? I cross to her table, aware that conversations pause as I pass. 5 years ago, these people watched me leave as the family failure. Tonight, they're seeing me as something else entirely. Sit with me, dear. Miriam pats the chair beside her. I think it's time I shared something with everyone. She stands slowly, reaching for the microphone Marilyn abandoned. Her voice carries clearly through the ballroom's sound system. Friends, family, I know tonight has been shocking for many of you, but I need to tell you something important. She pauses, her eyes finding Dad across the room. 2 months ago, I commissioned my own audit of Marilyn's non-profit organization. The room goes completely silent, even the catering staff stops moving. I've been suspicious for some time. Marilyn lived well above what a non-profit director should earn. Her European vacation last spring, funded she claimed by a bonus, raised questions. So I hired forensic accountants to examine her books. Dad's face turns from gray to white. Mother, what are you saying? I'm saying I discovered what Mr. Hartman discovered. Forged signatures on donation receipts. Phantom expenses for events that never happened. Money diverted from programs meant to help at-risk children. Her voice strengthens with each word. And 25,000 stolen from our family trust. Money that was designated for my medical care. The gasp that runs through the room sounds like wind through dry leaves. Grandma Miriam found bank records. I add quietly, my voice carrying in the stunned silence. The family trust money funded Marilyn's vacation to Europe. Uncle Robert's face flushes red. You mean she stole from her own grandmother? While criticizing others for their greed, Miriam confirms, while positioning herself as the moral center of our family. I watch the information sink in. These people have spent decades seeing Marilyn as the golden child, the responsible one, the daughter who stayed close and cared for family. Learning that she systematically stole from the very people who adored her creates a cognitive dissonance that shows on every face. Mom finally speaks, her voice hoarse. How much? 420,000 from the charity. Detective Williams answers from across the room, the 25,000 from the family trust. Total restitution of 445,000. The number hangs in the air like a guillotine. We don't have that kind of money. Dad says quietly, not liquid, we'd have to sell the house. I feel a complex emotion I can't quite name. Not satisfaction exactly. Not vindication. Something sadder and more final. The family that valued appearances above all else is about to lose everything that maintained those appearances. Their first 200,000 house, their country club membership, their position in Willow Creek society. All of it built on a foundation that just collapsed. Douglas, we need to talk. Detective Williams approaches my parents. The district attorney wants to discuss cooperation in your daughter's case. As they walk away, heads bowed, I notice something I haven't felt in 5 years. The absence of their disapproval doesn't hurt anymore. Their opinion of me, good or bad, simply doesn't matter. Success didn't give me that freedom. Money didn't buy it, justice did. Alexis, cousin Tessa approaches hesitantly. I owe you an apology. We all do. 5 years ago when you left, we thought you were being dramatic, ungrateful. But seeing this tonight, understanding what Marilyn was really doing. You don't need to apologize, I say, meaning it. You believed what made sense based on the information you had. But we should have looked deeper, should have questioned why the successful daughter needed to tear down the struggling one. That hits closer to truth than she probably realizes. Families like ours require scapegoats to function. Someone has to be the problem so everyone else can feel like the solution. Grandma Miriam reclaims the microphone. Before this evening ends, I want to say something about my granddaughter Alexis. My stomach tightens. Public attention still feels dangerous, even when it's positive. 5 years ago, she walked away from this family. Many of you judged that decision. But sometimes, walking away is the most courageous choice available. Her eyes find mine across the room. She built something remarkable in that time. A business that protects people's digital security. Real work that makes the world safer. She pauses and I see tears in her eyes for the first time tonight. I'm proud of her. I should have said that years ago, publicly, when it mattered most. But I'm saying it now. The words I spent 31 years needing to hear. Not from Mom. From someone who actually saw me. 3 hours later, I help Grandma Miriam blow out the candles on her birthday cake. The party has dwindled to family members, and the atmosphere feels like the aftermath of a storm. Damaged, but cleaner somehow. Through the ballroom windows, I watch police cars leave with the last of the evidence boxes. Marilyn will spend the next 3 years in federal prison. Dad and Mom will spend the next decade rebuilding their lives from scratch, and I'll continue building mine. As I walk Grandma Miriam to her ride, she squeezes my arm. 6 months from now, dear, I suspect you'll transform this whole mess into something positive. That's who you are. She's right. I'm already planning to acquire Marilyn's defunct nonprofit for $1 and rebuild it as a legitimate organization. The Grant Digital Safety Initiative will actually help at-risk youth learn cybersecurity skills. Success building on the ruins of corruption. Justice served with a side of poetic irony. Perfect. The morning sun streams through the floor to ceiling windows of what used to be Marilyn's corner office. 18 months after that night at Prairie Hills Country Lodge, I stand in the renovated headquarters of the former Marilyn Grant Foundation, now the Grant Digital Safety Initiative. The irony isn't lost on me that I bought my sister's criminal enterprise for $1 and turned it into something that actually protects children online. 23 employees work at standing desks where Marilyn once orchestrated her embezzlement schemes. Their conversations buzz with genuine excitement about cybersecurity education programs, coding workshops for at-risk youth, and digital literacy initiatives. The name Grant finally means something positive in Willow Creek, something I built from the ashes of my sister's corruption. Marcus Rodriguez, our program director, approaches with a tablet showing enrollment numbers. We've got 15 kids signed up for Saturday's workshop. 2 are from the Riverside group home, the same group home where Marilyn claimed to send donations that never arrived. Now we actually show up. Perfect, I tell him, watching a group of teenagers through the conference room glass as they debug their first security program. Make sure Jenny has extra pizza ordered. My phone chimes with an email that stops my breath. The sender line reads Miriam Grant, Sunset Manor Assisted Living. The subject, Sunday dinner invitation. Sunday dinner. 6 years. 6 years I received a family dinner invitation. And this one comes from Grandma Miriam in her new facility, not from Douglas and Evelyn in their modest apartment across town. The same cream card stock. The same elegant script. But now the power dynamic has shifted completely. I read it twice before the anxiety I expect never comes. Instead, I feel something lighter choice. The invitation doesn't command my attendance or manipulate my guilt. It simply offers an option, like choosing between restaurants. I tap reply and type, looking forward to it, Grandma. Should I bring anything? No fear. No second guessing. No desperate need to prove my worth through perfect behavior. Just a granddaughter saying yes to her grandmother because she wants to. The memory surface is unbidden. 3 months into therapy, Dr. Martinez's office with its calming gray walls and tissues strategically placed. Tell me about approval, she'd said. I spent 31 years trying to earn approval from people who were never going to give it. The words had tumbled out like confession. It's like asking a broken vending machine for snacks. You keep feeding it quarters, hitting buttons, getting nothing back, but you convince yourself the next quarter will work. Dr. Martinez had nodded. What happens when you stop feeding the machine? You find a working one. That breakthrough moment when I realized that seeking validation from toxic people wasn't persistence, it was insanity. The emotional freedom of building self-worth through achievement and service rather than family approval had taken months to feel real. But now it lives in my bones. I don't need their pride anymore. I whisper to the empty office. I have my own. Nolan's voice carries from the hallway as he discusses quarterly projections with our newest hire. Last month I promoted him to company president, our professional partnership becoming the kind of lifelong friendship I never knew was possible. Vanguard Shield has expanded to 4 states, protecting critical infrastructure from cyber threats, while these 23 employees help children navigate digital dangers. The Forbes recognition led to keynote speaking opportunities about cybersecurity leadership. Last week, a fellow entrepreneur named David asked me to dinner after my presentation in Seattle, not because he wanted something from my company, but because he admired the strength it took to rebuild my family's reputation while protecting my own boundaries. You're dating someone, Nolan had observed Monday morning, grinning at my distracted smile. Maybe, I'd admitted, realizing this was what healthy attraction felt like. No desperate need to prove my worth, no anxiety about hidden agendas, just 2 adults who respect each other's work and want to learn more. My phone buzzes with a text from Tessa, saw the local news piece about the Digital Safety Initiative. Mom says she's proud of what you're building. Aunt Sandra, who hadn't spoken to me in 5 years, now acknowledging that maybe I hadn't been the family failure after all. Even Uncle Robert's construction company contracts Vanguard Shield for their cybersecurity needs, their business relationship built on mutual respect rather than obligated family tolerance. 3 young women enter the lobby, notebooks clutched against their chests like shields. They're here for the monthly mentorship session I started for female entrepreneurs dealing with family sabotage. Last month, Sarah confessed that her parents called her bakery, a hobby that'll bankrupt you. This month, she'll announce her second location opening. Success is the best boundary. I tell them as we settle into the conference room. Not because money matters, but because achievement speaks louder than explanations. They nod with the intensity of people who've spent years defending dreams to people determined not to understand them. I see my 26-year-old self in their faces, that desperate hunger for validation from sources that will never provide it. Your family's opinion of your business isn't a reflection of your business. I continue, it's a reflection of their capacity to recognize value. Some people can't see a forest because they're focused on criticizing individual leaves. Sarah raises her hand. What if they're right about the risks? Then you research, plan, and mitigate those risks. But you don't let their fear become your ceiling. After they leave inspired and armed with practical strategies, I drive to Sunset Manor for Grandma Miriam's 79th birthday dinner. 8 people gathered in the assisted living dining room, Douglas and Evelyn notably absent. Marilyn is in year 2 of federal prison, her parole hearing still 18 months away. Cousin Tessa passes the mashed potatoes while Uncle Robert shares construction stories that actually make Miriam laugh. The conversation flows around normal family topics, her stories about the facility's book club, my latest government contract protecting voting systems in 3 states. No drama, no manipulation, no walking on eggshells, just normal connection between adults who respect each other. Tell me about this young man in Seattle, Miriam says with a knowing smile. His name is David. He builds renewable energy systems. Does he make you laugh? He does. Good. Laughter is important. No interrogation about his income, his family background, his 5-year plan. Just a grandmother wanting her granddaughter to be happy. Driving home through Denver's evening skyline, Vanguard Shield's headquarters glowing among the towers, my phone shows 17 missed calls from a blocked number. Probably Evelyn, still trying to guilt me into family obligations that no longer exist. I delete them without listening, the same way I delete spam. A text from Nolan lights up my screen. Government just approved a $50 million infrastructure contract. Congratulations, boss. $50 million protecting people's digital lives from real threats. My smile isn't about the money, though financial security feels good. It's about the mission, the purpose, the knowledge that my pain transformed into protection for others. I pull into my building's garage and retrieve my journal from the glove compartment. The leather cover is worn now, filled with 2 years of insights, breakthroughs, and honest observations. 5 years ago, I walked out of my family's house as a failure. Tonight, I drove home to my own life as a success. The difference wasn't the money. It was learning that some battles win themselves when you stop fighting them. Marilyn destroyed herself trying to destroy me. I won by becoming someone worth protecting. Family isn't who shares your blood. It's who shows up when your world is falling apart, and sometimes showing up means walking away.